And we're here, the last step of setting up your Emblaser Pro. Today we're going to tackle the F2000 fume extractor. You might have used one of these fume extractors in the past, but now with the Emblaser Pro, there's a few tricks that I think you're really going to like. Let's go! Setting up the F2000 fume extractor is really easy. But since my extractor is on the ground, let me set up a pedestal, bring it up into shot, and show you some very quick steps so that you can get it set up and cutting in no time. So this is my F2000 fume extractor. You can purchase these from Darkley Labs. I have an old one, but right now the new ones actually match the same orange color scheme as the Emblaser Pro. Setting this up is really simple. I'm going to show you how to take the exhaust hose and attach it to the top of this fume extractor. Let me show you. I've got my exhaust hose and it comes with two ends. The rubber adapter that I've shown you in previous videos and the plain end. So what you want to do is take the adapter, grab your hose, and it's simply screwing it on. Now there's an internal thread in here and you'll see there's an internal thread there too. So just screw it on like that, make sure it's nice and tight. Once that's on nice and tight, all you've got to do is slide the adapter into the coupling on the top of the extractor, is take the exhaust hose, the end with the rubber adapter, and place that into the Emblaser Pro. Now that we have the exhaust hose hooked up to your extractor, let me show you how you can set your power up so your Emblaser Pro can control this extractor when you're doing your job. Your F2000 comes with a power lead, and this lead may look a little bit different than what you're used to. It actually has two different sockets at the end. And what this allows you to do is to put one end, the normal power, the female end, into the extractor, just like you would normally set it up. Now the last steps of setting up your fume extractor is pretty simple. We've turned the Emblaser around so you can see the back. And let me come around and show you. We have two power connections in the back of the machine. I've showed you in a previous video that to get power, we take the normal power cable and put it up the top. To make it really clear, I'm going to leave that main power cable out. I'm going to show you how to take the power and route it from the Emblaser Pro to your fume extractor. We take the cable with the male and the hood, and we basically just put it below, just like that. And then all you need to do, if it's already out, is take your main power cable and place it on top like that. Now the really cool thing about it is that your Emblaser Pro now controls your F2000 fume extractor. What this means in a practical sense is that when you start your job, the Emblaser Pro will turn on your fume extractor and then it will continue going at the end of the job to clear all the fumes from the machine. If you haven't got any experience with a fume extractor, and this is the first time that you've set this up, just be aware that it's hard to test your fume extractor before actually running a job on the Emblaser Pro. You can do this by grabbing the main power cable, the top one that we set up before, and then placing it into a fume extractor, turning it on, setting the volume of how much you want to filter when you're doing the job. And you can do that with the front knob, as I'm showing you here. Once you've got that set, then remove the cable, use the enclosed cable to hook it into the Emblaser Pro, and you're ready to go. Now that we've done everything that's needed to set up the Emblaser Pro and the fume extractor with Lightburn, there's just one last thing we need to do. And that's for me to show you how this machine works. And not just works, how it cuts different material. So as I do with all my review videos, I'm going to show you my very first cut. Let me grab my computer. I'm going to show you how I set up my first job, and let me show you how this machine works. So right now I'm back in my office and I'm going to jump into Lightburn and set up my file that I'm going to cut on the Emblaser Pro. Traditionally, I always try to set up the same type of file, which is an engraving and a cut, usually saying hello world and using the logo of the company of the laser that I'm testing. So I'm going to jump into Lightburn right now and set that up with maybe a surprise or two. So here we are back again in Lightburn Release 6, which works with the Emblaser Pro. I'm going to grab myself a box. And I tend to like working large and then shrinking my designs down. It's just something that I tend to do. Don't know if you do it or not. It allows me to just visually work out exactly what I want to do. So we're going to come in here and say hello world, which is usually the message people or programmers used to place when they would run a program for the very first time. Once I've got that set up, I'm going to import a Darkly Labs logo. And I'm going to see whether or not there's something here that works. Yeah, there it is. So I'm just going to bring this graphic in. Whoa, it's way too large. Let's rescale this. And I'll pull out a little bit. One of the things that I really like about Lightburn is the fact that you can work so quickly in it. Don't know if anyone else has had experience with Lightburn to the point where they might be going to it as their program of choice when it comes to using vector programs. But over the years, I really have enjoyed using all the tools that are set up in Lightburn, especially when I'm working with vectors. I know a lot of people have different choices when they want to do that sort of stuff. Thought I'd just share it. I'm going to now use some of the tools. These are set up a little bit differently, but I'm just going to make sure that everything is nice. And oh, they really have changed some of the stuff here. That's all right, I haven't actually used this version terribly. I like to do all my reviews literally straight out of the box, and that includes this RC3 release. So there's a few little things a little different, but that's okay. I just was getting myself confused. I'm gonna be real smart here and put some radiuses on the corners, because I can. He says, there you go. And let's start scaling this back. All right. Let's get out of that. Scale this down a little bit. I'm gonna grab this too. I did this the wrong way. I should have grouped all of this. I apologize. Working quickly so we can get back to the machine and see how this cuts, because that is what I wanted to check out. I like that. Again, very simple design, but what I like about it is we've got some straight cuts, we've got some curves, and I find that when you're testing a machine, straights and curves are the things you want to look out for. Does it cut all the way through the material? Does the machine handle the curve without kind of those jagged lines? So that's one of the reasons why I like actually designing things that have different types of paths in them. All right. In this, we're going to engrave the Hello World part. So let's stick that on a different layer. We're going to give that a fill, and we're going to leave that as a cut. I'm going to move this around. Again, I know that Lightburn will be able to do that for me if I want to. It will work out the best paths. It'll place certain things forward. I tend to enjoy, or I tend to like working out my layers, not just because of the convenience and knowing what's going to happen, but also it works well with my thought pattern on how I'm going to design something for the laser. So whether or not you want to do that, that's up to you, but I tend to not enjoy, but, well, no, I do enjoy. I tend to enjoy that I know what the laser is going to do, and I always check that out in the preview window before I cut. So I would highly recommend organizing your files that way. I'm going to do that again. So now that we've got the layers, I am going to order them. So I'm going to make sure that the cut's the outer last. The image is going to be engraved first, and then it's going to continue with the fill for the Hello World. Now, I like organizing my layers manually. I know that Lightburn can do it for you. Lightburn has amazing options to work out the fastest way to cut your files. I tend to organize them manually simply because it allows me to practice in my head the operations I want with the laser. Now, it's up to you if you want to do that or not, but I highly recommend that if you want to get to know your laser, making sure that your layers are manually organized is a great way of being able to practice that skill. Now that that's done, I'm going to go to the preview just to make sure that it is doing what I want it to do. And I'm not even going to worry about the speed and power now because it's not even set up for that. But all I'm looking for here is what is the process doing. It's engrave, and then cut. Awesome. So now that that's done, let's go and organize some power settings for the material we're using. I'm going to use poplar. I've only got some 3mm, so we're going to assign that there. Now with the fill, we don't have any fill settings at this time, so I'm just going to assign these ones as well. And what I'm going to do is with image, we can't do that, so I'm going to have to do that manually. So let's do that as 1200. Let's go 1200 by 85. And I'm going to start. Oh, no, Gil. That's a little bit too much. Get rid of 10. There you go. Now that I know what the settings are to cut the material, I'm going to change these to get an engrave. All right. Now that's here, let's just shrink it down a little bit. I tend to put all my designs in the corner. We've got our first design to test the machine set up, but I'm going to try and do something a little bit more fancy. Since I know this machine is a 60-watt diode laser and it's going to cut a lot faster than what I'm used to, I'm going to try cutting out another project at the same time. And that is this project right here. So I am actually going to set this up all as a cut. So we've got it all in the same settings. And in fact, I'm going to do it twice. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there it is. I'm going to just sneak that in there as well. So let's make that there. And I'll show you what this design's about once we cut it out. The reason I'm doing it twice is that normally this design, it works on 6mm material, and unfortunately I don't have any 6mm material on hand. All the tests that I've done, all the first rundowns on machines, I always use 3mm poplar, so I want to keep it in the same area so we can take a look at what those results are. Now that this file is ready, let's go jump back out into the workshop and let me show you what this machine can do. Now that we've got everything set up in Lightburn, I'm back out of the shed. I've turned around the Emblaser Pro and I've put the extractor in the middle so that you can see what happens when we actually run the job. Now all I need to do is send that file in Lightburn to the Emblaser Pro, and you can see here that when we turn it on the function button, it turns blue. That function button controls the machine once you've sent the file from Lightburn. So I'm going to send the file right now. You'll see that blue button will turn green the second that the file's been loaded up. And I'm going to go grab my piece of material, put it in the machine, and we'll launch this job. Now that that job has been sent, you can see that the button is flashing green, telling me the job is ready to run on the Emblaser Pro. I'm going to come around and I'm going to press that button. It's going to start the job, but I'm going to ask you guys to keep an eye on the extractor. You're more going to hear it than you're going to see it, but that extractor is going to be turned on as the job's going to start. Let's go. As it's engraving, and you can hear that we've got the extractor and the machine going, I want to show you this, because this I enjoy, especially from the Emblaser range. This function button, we're in the middle of a job. I'm going to hit that button once, and it actually pauses the job. You hear the extractor still going, nothing changes. If I needed to make an adjustment, if I needed to slow something down because someone's walked into the area and I need to deal with them, and then I don't want to run the machine without it being supervised, I can actually pause the job, hit that button again, and it picks up from where it left off. If I pause the job and I want to cancel it altogether, I can pause it, hold that button down for 5 seconds, and then it will actually abort the job altogether. I love the fact that I don't have to go back to my computer to control this machine. It's awesome. Let's see what it's doing. Now the job's finished. Keep it. Did you hear that? The extractor just shut down. So after the job finishes, the extractor stays on so that it actually clears the inside of the machine. I'm going to do this with one hand. I want to show you what's in the machine right now. I'm going to use a secondary camera and I'm going to talk you through it. Come around. Okay, so the job just finished. I'm opening it up. And you can see that I haven't really done a lot of great placement there, but the job has completed. And I'm actually pretty happy about this for the first time that I've used this machine. I'm going to hold my camera here. I'm going to pick this up. And we have, whoa, things falling out. I love it. You can see the precision in cutting. Let me just grab this one piece. There you go. Let's look at this. They're all falling out. I don't have two hands right now, but I'm not putting a lot of force into there. You can see the pieces falling out. Let's look at the name card. It's hanging here. It's hanging. So let's take a look at this. I'm so happy with this as a first cut. I had to play around with my best guesses for the engrave, and you could probably do a little bit better on that. The engrave is a little bit deep. To me, that's not a problem. For some other people, it would be. But that came out beautiful. Beautiful. And as for the rest of it, I'll take a look in the machine. You can see these pieces just fall out. This is the same stuff that I use on all my first run tests, my first looks. This is awesome. I'm going to collect these pieces. I'm going to show you what this turns into a little bit later. But as our first run, let me see if this is consistent. That's the word we use. Consistent. Yeah, beautiful. Wow, look at that. Okay, so that's the first cut with the Emblaser Pro. It took us a little bit of time to get here. I understand that. But if I wasn't doing it step by step, walking you through how to set this up, you'd be able to get this machine out of the box and cutting literally within 15 minutes. For a very first cut, using the settings that came with the machine from Darkly Labs, I'm incredibly impressed. As I mentioned before, at this time, I was playing around with the engrave settings, seeing how fast I could get it going, and through experience, some of the other things that I've done in the past, I was able to get this down, I think, a little bit faster than some of the other settings, but there's definitely room to improve. But with that said, this is incredibly viable. The other pieces that I've got here, I'm going to put them together, and I'm actually going to share it as a short on my channel, so you'll be able to see this in its final guise. It's a little bit of fun. I think Darkly Labs shared me this design, so I'm looking forward to putting it all together. I'm going to glue it together, use a few other things, and it's going to become a motion toy. I am incredibly impressed with the Emblaser Pro. I've got to be honest with you. I don't see me needing any other machine in the foreseeable future. The only thing that can be improved on is maybe power, but if it can cut like this, then really power is just, being able to move a little bit faster, and I'm not using it for anything else but my own personal projects. If I had a business, I would be very impressed with this machine. The way it works with the water cooling, you can keep running this hour upon hour without a problem. I'm truly excited to finally get my hands on this. For a diode laser, this literally is going to be the last laser that I need. So now that I've gone through all of the setup with you, I'm going to actually install this machine in the corner so that in a workspace so I can come back to it. I have a lot of other stuff to go through, some maintenance, some upkeep. So I'm going to show you some tricks on how to get the best out of the Emblaser Pro. I invite you all to come along and see what naturally evolves with using this machine. I'm also incredibly busy this month, so you will see some reports from Lightburn experience in New York and maybe a few other things that are going to go online. Do not miss out. Hit that like and that subscribe button, because even if you're not interested in the Emblaser Pro, I promise you that this machine is going to open up brand new workflows for everyone involved. So until I see you back here on the Laser Livestream channel, I want you to go out and make something amazing. I'll catch you guys real soon.